The Villani research ship Gentle Current floated in the dark space like a broken bird. Its crystal walls, once bright and clear, now had deep cracks running through them. Black smoke leaked from holes in the ship's side. Inside, Commander Lith pressed her long fingers against the communication panel. Her gossamer wings hung limp behind her back, and the soft blue light under her skin flickered weakly. "Send the distress call again," she told her communications officer. Her voice was tired and scared. The officer, a young Villani named Kess, nodded and typed the message one more time. "Galactic Aid Station, this is Research Vessel Gentle Current. We need help. Pirates attacked us. Our engines are dead. Please, send rescue ships." Lith looked around the bridge. Half of her crew was hurt. The ship's doctor was taking care of them in the medical bay, but they needed real help soon. The pirates had come from nowhere, attacking without warning. They wanted the old artifacts the Villani had found on the dead planet below. "How long until the aid station sends help?" Lith asked. Kess checked his screen. 3 cycles, Commander. Maybe 4. Lith's wings drooped more. 3 cycles was too long. The pirates would come back before then. They always did. Pirates never left a job half done. Far away in space, Admiral, Tejo stood on the bridge of his flagship Iron Wolf. He was not tall for a human, but his presence filled the room. Scars covered his hands and face from old battles. His dark eyes never stopped moving, always watching for danger. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Young-Soo from the communications station. "We're getting a distress signal." Tejo walked over to listen. The message was in the common galactic language, but the voice sounded strange and musical. "These were not humans calling for help." "Where is it coming from?" Tejo asked. "The Outer Rim, sir. About 6 hours away if we push the engines hard." "Captain," Sujin stepped forward. She commanded the Iron Wolf under Tejo's orders. Like most humans in the fleet, her body showed signs of the modifications that let humans survive in space. Her bones were thicker than old humans, her muscles denser. Scars marked her face and arms from fights in the void. "Sir, this is not our job," said the alien officer standing near them. He was a Korathi with gray skin and 4 arms. His name was Veltar, and he served as a liaison between the human fleet and the Galactic Council. "Rescue operations should be left to the proper authorities." Sujin's eyes grew hard. She did not like Veltar. None of the humans did. He always told them what they could not do, what was not their place. "Those people need help now," Sujin said. "The aid station will take days to reach them." "That is how things work," Veltar replied. "Each species has its role. Humans are too new to the galaxy. You do not understand the proper way." Tejo listened to the argument but said nothing. He had heard this many times before. The galactic species all had their rules about who could do what. Humans were supposed to stay in their corner of space and learn slowly. They were not supposed to act like they belonged with the older civilizations. But Tejo had not joined the space fleet to follow rules made by aliens who looked down on humans. He had joined to explore and help where help was needed. "Young-Soo, set course for the distress signal," Tejo ordered. "Sir, I must protest," Veltar said, his 4 arms waving. "This will create problems with the Council." "Let it," Tejo said, quietly. The Iron Wolf and its escort ships turned toward the Outer Rim. Their engines glowed brighter as they pushed through space faster than most alien ships could travel. Human ships were built different from the sleek, beautiful vessels other species used. They were thick and angular, covered in armor and weapons. They looked like what they were, ships built by a species that had learned to fight for everything. They had. On the Gentle Current, Kess noticed something on his screen. "Commander, ships are coming!" Lith felt hope rise in her chest. "The aid station?" Kess looked closer at the readings. His face grew confused, then worried. "No, Commander. These ships, they're not like anything in our database. The first ship to appear was massive and dark. Its hull was covered in thick metal plates that showed the marks of many battles. Gun turrets stuck out from its sides like the spines of some dangerous creature. More ships followed, all built the same way. Heavy, dangerous, ready for war. "What kind of ships are these?" Lith whispered. On the bridge of the Iron Wolf, Sujin studied the alien vessel they had come to help. It was beautiful in the way that most galactic ships were beautiful. Smooth lines, crystal walls, everything designed to look peaceful and gentle. It also looked fragile, very fragile. "They're definitely in trouble," said Commander Minho, the ship's tactical officer. "I'm reading atmosphere leaks, power failures, and hull breaches." "Life signs?" Sujin asked. 43 beings aboard, all alive, but some are hurt." Sujin nodded. "Send a communication." The screen on the Gentle Currents bridge flickered to life. Lith found herself looking at a face that made her step backward, in fear. The creature on the screen had forward-facing eyes like a hunter. Its face was covered in old scars, and when it smiled, Lith could see teeth designed for tearing meat. "This is Captain Sujin of the human ship Iron Wolf," the creature said. Its voice was rough and deep. "We received your distress call. Do you need assistance?" Lith had heard of humans, but she had never seen one before. They were one of the newest species to join the galactic community. The stories about them were not good. They came from a death world, a planet so dangerous that most species could not even land on it. They were said to be violent and primitive. Looking at this Sujin, Lith believed the stories. We are waiting for galactic aid," Lith managed to say. Sujin's expression did not change. "How long until they arrive?" 3 cycles. The pirates who did this will be back before then. They always come back to finish what they started." Lith's blood grew cold. She knew the human was right. Pirates never left witnesses if they could help it. "We can protect you and help repair your ship," Sujin continued. "But the choice is yours." Lith looked around her bridge. Her crew was scared. They had all heard the stories about humans, but they were also dying slowly in a broken ship, waiting for help that might come too late. "What do you want in return?" Lith asked. Sujin's scarred face showed something that might have been surprise. "Want in return? You asked for help. We're offering help. That's how it works. But you're Deathworlders." "Yes, we are. Does that change the fact that you need help?" Lith realized she had no real choice. The humans might be dangerous, but the pirates were definitely dangerous, and the humans had come when no one else would. "We accept your assistance," she said. Sujin nodded. "We'll send repair teams over. Medical teams too, if you need them." The communication ended, and Lith stood in the silence of her bridge. Outside, the crystal walls, she could see the human ships moving into protective positions around her vessel. They moved like hunting animals, smooth and deadly. She wondered if she had just saved her crew or doomed them all. The docking tube connected the 2 ships with a soft thump that made the Villani crew jump. Commander Lith stood near the airlock, her wings folded tight against her back. She had never been this close to Deathworlders before. The airlock opened with a hiss. The first human to step through was a woman carrying a large bag of medical supplies. She was shorter than Lith expected, but her body looked incredibly strong. Her arms and shoulders showed the thick muscles that came from living on a heavy world. When she moved, it was with the quick, efficient steps of a predator. "Dr. Boram," the human said, offering a slight bow. "I'm here to help with medical issues and to check your ship's systems." Behind her came 5 more humans in dark armor. The biggest one had sergeant stripes on his sleeve and carried weapons that looked far too large for any civilized species to handle. His name tag read, Woojin. Lith tried not to step backward, but her body moved on its own. These humans were terrifying. Their eyes moved constantly, scanning everything around them. Their hands stayed near their weapons, even standing. Still, they looked ready to fight. "Commander Lith," she managed to say, "thank you for coming to help us." Dr. Boram smiled, and Lith was surprised to see it looked genuine and kind. "Where are your injured?" "Medical bay." "This way." Lith led them through the ship's crystal corridors. The humans looked around with interest as they walked. "Sergeant," Woojin touched one of the crystal walls and nodded to his soldiers. "Interesting design," Boram said. "Beautiful, but fragile." "We are a peaceful species," Lith replied. "We don't need our ships to be strong like yours." "Every species needs protection," Woojin said quietly. His voice was rough like gravel. "The universe doesn't care if you're peaceful." In the medical bay, Dr. Boram knelt beside the injured Villani crew members. Her hands moved quickly but gently as she examined them. The humans had brought medical equipment that was clearly more advanced than what the Villani used. "This one has internal bleeding," Boram said, pointing to a young Villani engineer. "Your medical system can't handle this kind of injury." "Can you help him?" Lyth asked. "Yes, but I'll need to use human medical techniques. Some of them might look rough to you." Lyth nodded. She watched as Boram pulled out tools that looked more like weapons than medical devices. But her hands were steady and sure as she worked. Within minutes, the injured engineer was breathing easier. "How did you learn to treat our species?" Lyth asked. "We study everything," Boram replied. "When you come from a death world, you learn to adapt quickly. We've been studying galactic biology since we joined the community." While Boram worked on the injured, Sergeant Wu Jin and his team spread out through the ship. They moved through the corridors like they owned them, checking every corner and examining every system. "Your hull breaches are worse than they look," Wu Jin told Lyth. "The pirates knew exactly where to hit you. They wanted to disable your ship, not destroy it." "Why?" "Because they planned to come back. Dead ships don't run away, but they also don't call for help. They wanted you alive and stranded so they could take their time with the salvage." The thought made Lyth's skin grow cold. "How do you know so much about pirates?" Wu Jin's scarred face showed a grim smile. "Humans fight pirates all the time. We don't negotiate with them or try to understand them, we just stop them. The Galactic Council says violence should be the last option. The Council has never lived on a world where everything tries to kill you," Wu Jin replied. "Sometimes violence is the only option that works." Outside the ship, more humans were working on the hull breaches. Lyth watched through a viewing port as they moved around in the vacuum of space. They weren't wearing full environmental suits like most species would need. Instead, they had lightweight gear that barely covered their skin. "How are they surviving out there?" Lyth asked Boram. "Modifications," Boram explained. "All humans who work in space get them. We can hold our breath for 30 minutes, our skin can handle radiation and cold, and our blood doesn't boil in vacuum. It's easier than wearing big suits all the time." That's not natural. Nothing about space travel is natural. We just adapted better than most. One of the humans outside was welding a hull breach with a tool that shot white-hot flame. He was holding it with his bare hands, apparently unbothered by the heat that would have melted most species' equipment. "Your people are very different from what we expected," Lyth said. Boram looked up from her medical work. "What did you expect?" "The stories say humans are violent and primitive, that you solve everything with force." "We are violent," Boram said calmly, "and we do use force when we need to, but we're not primitive, and violence isn't our first choice. It's just our most effective choice when other options fail." Dr. Boram finished treating the injured and stood up. She pulled out a scanner and began examining the ship's systems. After a few minutes, she frowned. "Commander, what were you doing when the pirates attacked?" "Archaeological research. We were studying ruins on the planet below." "What kind of ruins?" Lyth hesitated. "Very old ones, from before the current galactic civilizations." Boram's expression grew more interested. "How old?" "Our archaeologists think they might be Forerunner artifacts." The change in Boram was immediate. Her whole body went still, and her eyes grew sharp and focused. "Show me the data." Lyth led her to the research lab. The walls were covered with images and scans of the ruins below. Strange symbols covered broken walls, and massive structures lay half buried in the planet's surface. Boram studied the images carefully. She pulled out a small device and began comparing the symbols to something in her own database. "These match," she whispered. "Match what?" "Forerunner sites that humans have found. We've been studying them for years." Lyth was shocked. "But the Forerunners are myths. No one has ever found real proof they existed." "We have. And now you have too." Boram turned to face her. "This is why the pirates attacked you. These artifacts are incredibly valuable, not just for money, but for knowledge." "What kind of knowledge?" "Technology, history, answers to questions the galaxy has been asking for thousands of years." Sergeant Wu Jin entered the lab. "Hull repairs are almost done, but we have a problem." "What kind of problem?" Lyth asked. "My sensors are picking up ships at the edge of the system, 6 vessels, moving this way fast. Same signatures as the ships that attacked you before." "The pirates are coming back," Boram said. Lith felt her legs grow weak. How long until they get here? 2 hours, Wu Jin replied. Maybe less. The Galactic Age ships won't be here for 2 more cycles. Then it's good we're here instead, Wu Jin said. Lith looked at the humans around her. They didn't look worried or scared. They looked eager, like they were looking forward to the fight. You can't fight 6 pirate ships with just your fleet, Lith said. Watch us, Wu Jin replied. Boram was still studying the Forerunner data. Commander, I need to ask you something important. Have you reported this discovery to the Galactic Council? Not yet. We wanted to study it more first. Good. Don't report it. Not yet. Why not? Boram looked at her seriously. Because if the Council knows you found Forerunner technology, you might disappear just like the Forerunners did. The words hung in the air like a threat. Lith didn't understand what Boram meant, but something in the human's voice made her afraid. Dr. Boram to Admiral Teho, Boram said into her communicator. Go ahead, Doctor. Sir, we have a situation here. The pirates are coming back, and we've discovered something important. Forerunner artifacts. There was silence on the communication. For a long moment. Are you certain? Teho's voice asked. Yes, sir. And there's more. The aliens who found this haven't reported it to the Council yet. Understood. Continue your work, Doctor. Wu Jin, prepare for combat. Yes, sir. Lith watched the humans prepare for battle. They moved with a coordination and purpose that impressed her. These weren't just soldiers following orders. They were a pack of hunters getting ready to protect their territory. What happens if you win? Lith asked. When we win, Wu Jin corrected, you'll be safe. Your ship will be repaired, and you'll have some decisions to make about those artifacts. What kind of decisions? Boram answered. Whether you trust the Galactic Council with the truth about what you found, or whether you trust us. The pirate fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a pack of hungry predators. 6 ships spread out in attack formation, their hulls dark and menacing. On the bridge of the lead vessel, Captain Vextar studied the scene before him with growing confusion. Our Villani research ship was still there just as he had left it. But now it was surrounded by strange vessels he didn't recognize. They were ugly things, built like metal fortresses instead of proper ships. Scars and weapon marks covered their hulls. What are those ships? Vextar asked his tactical officer. Unknown design, Captain. They're not in our database. Vextar was a veteran pirate who had raided ships for 30 years. He had seen vessels from every major species in the galaxy. These ships were different. They looked like they had been built for war and nothing else. Scan them for weapons, Vextar ordered. His officer's face grew pale as he read the results. Captain, these ships are carrying enough firepower to level a small moon. Impossible. No one builds ships like that anymore. The Galactic Accords forbid excessive military armament. Maybe they don't follow the Accords, sir. On the bridge of the Iron Wolf, Admiral Teho watched the pirate ships approach. His expression was calm, but his eyes held the cold focus of a hunter watching prey walk into a trap. 6 ships, reported Commander Minho. Standard pirate design, moderate shielding, average weapons, fast engines for quick escapes. They're used to fighting research vessels and cargo haulers, Captain Sujin added. Not warships. Teho nodded. Let them make the first move. The human fleet had arranged itself around the Villani ship like a protective shell. The destroyer Razor Wind, commanded by Jin Wu, floated off to one side, its weapons already locked onto the approaching pirates. 2 frigates, the Stormfang and Ironhawk, covered the flanks. The Iron Wolf itself stayed close to the research vessel. Vextar opened a communication channel to the unknown ships. The face that appeared on his screen made him take a step backward. The creature looking at him had the forward-facing eyes of a predator and scars that told of many violent encounters. Unknown vessels, you are interfering with a legal salvage operation, Vextar said, trying to sound confident. Withdraw immediately. Teho's scarred face showed no emotion. There is no salvage here, only a research vessel under our protection. Protection? Who are you? We are humans, and you are pirates who attacked innocent researchers. Vextar had heard of humans. They were supposed to be primitives who had only recently joined the galactic community. They couldn't possibly be a threat to experienced raiders like his crew. Humans, Vexatar laughed. Deathworlders playing at being soldiers. This system is ours. Leave now, or we'll destroy you along with the research ship. Tejo's expression didn't change. You may try. The communication ended. Vexitar turned to his crew with confidence. Prepare for attack. These primitives need to learn their place. On the gentle current, Commander Lith watched the approaching battle with growing terror. The pirate ships were much larger than the human vessels, and there were more of them. Shouldn't we run? She asked Sergeant Wu Jin, who had stayed aboard to coordinate the defense. Where would we run to? Wu Jin replied calmly. Your engines are still damaged, and humans don't run from bullies anyway. But they outnumber you. Wu Jin smiled, and the expression was not comforting. Numbers don't matter if the enemy doesn't know how to fight. The first shots came from the pirate flagship. Bright energy beams lanced across space toward the human destroyer Razorwind. The beams struck the ship's shields and scattered harmlessly. Commander Jinwoo of the Razorwind waited 3 seconds before responding. When he did, it was with weapons that made the pirates' energy beams look like children's toys. Chunks of metal the size of small buildings shot from the destroyer's main guns. They moved so fast they were barely visible, but when they hit the pirate ship's shields, the results were spectacular. The energy barriers flickered and died under the impact. What kind of weapons are those? Vexitar shouted. Kinetic projectiles, his officer replied, fear clear in his voice. Solid metal moving at near light speed. That's impossible. No one uses primitive kinetic weapons anymore. Tell that to them, sir. The human ships opened fire with everything they had. Instead of the elegant energy weapons most galactic species preferred, they used crude but devastatingly effective projectiles, missiles, and nuclear warheads. The pirate shields, designed to deflect sophisticated energy beams, were useless against chunks of tungsten and uranium moving at relativistic speeds. The Stormfang launched a spread of missiles that twisted and turned through space like living things. Each one carried a nuclear warhead powerful enough to crack a planet's crust. The pirates tried to shoot them down, but the missiles were too fast and too smart. When the first missile hit Vexitar's flagship, the explosion lit up space like a new star. The pirate ship's hull cracked open, venting atmosphere and debris. Impossible! Vexitar screamed. Nuclear weapons are banned by the Galactic Accords. His communications officer looked up from his console with panic in his eyes. Sir, they're not responding to any hails. I don't think they care about the Accords. 2 more pirate ships died in the next 30 seconds. The humans fought with a savage efficiency that terrified the raiders. They didn't try to disable enemy vessels or give them a chance to surrender. They simply destroyed anything that threatened them. The remaining pirates tried to run, but the human ships were faster than they looked. The Ironhawk caught up with one fleeing vessel and rammed it at full speed. The collision destroyed both ships, but the humans didn't seem to care about the loss. They're insane, whispered one of Vexitar's crew members. They'll die just to kill us. On the bridge of the Iron Wolf, Su Jin watched the battle with professional interest. This was how humans fought when they were properly motivated. Quick, brutal, and final. Boarding parties, prepare for assault, she ordered. Ma'am, asked Lieutenant Young Su, the flagship is still alive. I want to question their captain. Young Su looked worried. Captain, the ship is heavily damaged. Boarding it would be extremely dangerous. Su Jin's smile was sharp as a blade. Good. I'm feeling dangerous today. Within minutes, Su Jin was leading a team of human marines through space toward the crippled pirate flagship. They moved through the vacuum without environmental suits, their modified bodies allowing them to survive the cold and radiation of open space. The pirates watched in horror as the humans cut through their hull with plasma torches, their bare hands apparently unbothered by the intense heat. When the boarding party entered the ship, they found corridors filled with toxic gas from damaged life support systems. The humans walked through the poison like it was fresh air. Vexitar met them in his ship's central corridor, wearing full environmental gear and carrying a heavy weapon. He fired at the first human he saw, watching the energy beams strike the creature's center mass. Su Jin looked down at the burn mark on her armor, then looked back up at Vexitar. She wasn't even slowed down. That was rude, she said, and ripped the weapon from his hands with casual strength. The fight that followed was brutal and short. Human marines moved through the ship like a force of nature, overwhelming the pirates with speed and violence. They fought through breached corridors and toxic atmosphere without slowing down. When it was over, Vextar found himself kneeling on his own bridge, surrounded by humans who looked like they could tear him apart with their bare hands. "Why?" he gasped. "Why protect them? What do you gain?" Sujin knelt down to look him in the eye. "They asked for help. We gave it. That's what civilized people do." "But you're Deathworlders. You're supposed to be savages." "We are savages," Sujin agreed, "but we're civilized savages. There's a difference." On the gentle current, Commander Lith watched the aftermath of the battle in stunned silence. The space around her ship was filled with debris from the destroyed pirate vessels. Not one enemy ship remained intact. "Is it over?" she asked Sergeant Wu Jin. "It's over," he confirmed. "Your ship is safe." Dr. Boram was studying readings from her scanner. "The human casualties? 17 wounded, 3 dead," Wu Jin reported. "Light losses for a battle this size." Lith couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You lost people protecting us. Why would you do that?" Wu Jin looked at her with genuine confusion. "Because you needed help. That's what good people do. But we're not even the same species. We barely know each other. Doesn't matter. Right is right, regardless of species." Through the viewing port, Lith could see the human ships moving into formation around her vessel again. They had fought and died to protect strangers, asking for nothing in return. For the first time since joining the galactic community, Lith wondered if the older species had taught her people the wrong lessons about civilization. Captain Sujin's voice came over the communication system. "Commander Lith, we've secured the area. Your ship's repairs are complete. You're free to go wherever you choose." "Where do you suggest we go?" Lith asked. There was a pause before Sujin replied. "That depends. Do you trust the people who were supposed to help you but didn't show up? Or do you trust the people who came when you called?" Lith looked around her bridge at her crew. They were all watching her, waiting for her decision. The choice would affect not just their lives, but possibly the future of their entire species. 3 days later, the human and Vellani ships floated in orbit around the ancient planet. Dr. Boram stood in the archaeological lab aboard the gentle current, surrounded by data that made her hands shake with excitement and fear. "Show me everything," Admiral Tejo said as he studied the holographic displays of the ruins below. Commander Lythe activated the detailed scans her team had made before the pirate attack. The lab filled with 3-dimensional images of massive structures buried in the planet's surface. Strange symbols covered every wall, and technology that defied explanation lay scattered throughout the ruins. "We found this site 6 months ago," Lith explained. "Our initial scans suggested it was very old, but we had no idea how old until we started digging." Dr. Boram pulled out her own scanning device and compared the readings. "These energy signatures match Forerunner sites we've discovered in human space, but this site is much larger and more complete." "You've really found Forerunner ruins?" Lith asked, still amazed that the mythical civilization might be real. "Dozens of them," Boram replied. "All destroyed, all empty. We've been trying to understand what happened to them for years." Admiral Tejo studied the symbols carved into the ancient walls. "What have you learned from the other sites?" "Not much. Most Forerunner ruins are just rubble and ash. Whoever destroyed them was very thorough." Boram's voice grew troubled. "But this site might have answers. It looks like they had time to hide information before the end came." Working together, the human and Vellani teams descended to the planet's surface. The ruins were even more impressive up close. Massive towers stretched toward the sky, their surfaces covered in the flowing script of a long-dead language. Advanced technology lay everywhere, most of it damaged but still recognizable. Dr. Hyo Jin, the human fleet's historian, knelt beside a partially buried data terminal. Her modified hands were steady as she carefully cleaned away thousands of years of dust and debris. "This looks intact," she said. "If we can power it up, we might be able to access their records." It took 6 hours of careful work, but eventually the ancient terminal flickered to life. Text scrolled across its screen in the strange Forerunner language, accompanied by images that made the exploration team step backward in shock. The images showed star maps, dozens of worlds connected by trade routes and communication networks, a thriving interstellar civilization that had spanned hundreds of systems. But as the records progressed, the maps began to change. Worlds went dark one by one, their connections severed. "Dr. Boram," Hyojin called urgently. "You need to see this." Boram hurried over to look at the translation software working on the Forerunner text. Her face grew pale as she read the results. "What does it say?" Lith asked. "It's a warning," Boram whispered. "A message left for whoever found this place." She read the translation aloud. "To those who come after us, know this truth. We were not destroyed by war or disaster. We were eliminated by those who claim to bring peace to the galaxy. The Council of United Species came to us with offers of membership and cooperation. When we refused to limit our growth and submit to their authority, they declared us a threat to galactic stability." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Admiral Taeho's expression grew hard and cold. "Keep reading," he ordered. "They came with fleets from a dozen species, not to conquer, but to exterminate. They did not want our worlds or our resources. They wanted us gone forever. Our crime was being too successful, too independent, too willing to expand beyond the boundaries they set for us." Commander Lith felt her legs grow weak. "The Galactic Council did this?" Boram continued reading. "We have hidden this archive and others like it across the galaxy. Someday another species will rise that refuses to bow to the Council's authority. When that day comes, they will need to know the truth about what the galaxy calls peace." More images flashed across the screen, recordings of Forerunner cities burning under orbital bombardment, civilian populations being evacuated only to be shot down in space, children running through streets as Council forces hunted them down. "This is genocide," Lith whispered. "Yes," Taeho said quietly, "and according to this data, it wasn't the first time." The archive contained records of other species that had been eliminated over the millennia. Any civilization that grew too powerful, too independent, or too willing to challenge the Council's authority simply disappeared. The official records always claimed natural disasters, civil wars, or mysterious plagues. The truth was systematic. Extermination. Dr. Hyojin found more disturbing information in the deeper files. "Admiral, look at this. The Forerunners had been monitoring Council communications before their destruction. There are references to something called the Stability Protocol." "What is that?" Lith asked. "A set of guidelines for identifying and eliminating potential threats to galactic order," Hyojin read. "Any species that shows rapid technological advancement, aggressive expansion, or refusal to accept Council limitations is marked for correction." Boram was studying another set of files. "They have detailed analysis of how the elimination process works. First, the target species is isolated diplomatically. Their trade routes are disrupted, their allies are turned against them. Then comes economic pressure and manufactured conflicts with neighboring species." "And if that doesn't work?" Taeho asked. "Direct military action by a coalition of Council members, always described as a necessary intervention to maintain peace." Commander Lith sat down heavily on a piece of broken machinery. Her entire world view was crumbling around her. The Galactic Council, which her species had joined eagerly, was built on the bones of countless murdered civilizations. "How many species have they destroyed?" she asked. "According to these records, at least 47 over the past 10,000 years, Hyojin replied. "Probably more. The Forerunners didn't have complete information." Admiral Taeho was studying a tactical display that showed the Council's military structure. "They're very careful about it. Never use the same species twice in a row for elimination operations. Always make it look like a coalition of concerned neighbors rather than a council. Directive." "But why?" Lith asked. "Why maintain peace this way?" Boram found the answer in the archive's political files. "Because peace is profitable. The council species control all major trade routes, all advanced technology, all diplomatic channels. They've created a galaxy where everyone depends on them for everything. Any species that becomes truly independent threatens that control. And humans are becoming independent," Taeho said grimly. "More than that," Boram added. "According to this analysis of species development patterns, humanity fits the profile of a potential Forerunner-level threat almost perfectly." She pulled up a comparison chart that made everyone in the room go silent. Human technological advancement, expansion rate, military development, and political independence all matched the patterns that had marked previous species for elimination. "How long do we have?" Tejo asked. "Based on historical precedent, the initial isolation phase should begin within the next few years. Full elimination campaigns usually take between 50 and 100 years to complete." Lith looked at the humans around her with growing understanding. "This is why you helped us. You knew we had found something important." "We suspected," Bo-Ram admitted. "But we helped you because you needed help. Learning about this was just a bonus. A bonus that might save both our species," Tejo added. "Commander Lith, I need to ask you something very important. What are you going to do with this information?" Lith looked around at her team. They were all watching her with frightened eyes. The knowledge they had gained could destroy their civilization's relationship with the Council, but keeping it secret felt like a betrayal of every species that had died. "What are my options?" she asked. "You can report this discovery to the Council," Tejo said. "Tell them you found Forerunner ruins and turn over all the data. They'll thank you, classify everything, and make sure this information never sees the light of day. And the other option? Help us spread the truth. Let other species know what the Council really is and what they've done." "That would be rebellion," Lith said. "Yes, it would." Lith stood up and walked to the entrance of the ancient facility. Outside, she could see the ruins of a civilization that had been murdered for the crime of being successful. In orbit above, human ships waited to protect her people from the same fate. "Dr. Bo-Ram," she said finally, "how many copies of this data can you make?" Bo-Ram smiled. "As many as you want, Commander." "Then let's make sure every species in the galaxy gets a chance to see the truth." As the teams worked to copy the archive, Admiral Tejo sent an encrypted message to Earth. The contents were simple but revolutionary. "Forerunner site confirmed. Council involvement verified. Recommend immediate preparation for independence. Protocol." The response came back within hours. "Understood. Operation Freedom is now active. Good hunting, Admiral." In the depths of the ancient archive, more secrets waited to be discovered. Technology that could level the playing field between humans and the Council. Weapons that had once made the Forerunners a threat to galactic order, and most importantly, the locations of other hidden archives across the galaxy. The Forerunners were gone, but their legacy would live on. The Galactic Age ship Harmony's Gift emerged from hyperspace with all the graceful elegance that marked Council vessels. Its smooth, pearl-white hull gleamed in the starlight as it approached the site where the gentle current waited. Captain Mordain stood on his bridge studying the scene before him with growing displeasure. The Villani research vessel appeared to be fully repaired and operational. More troubling were the strange warships arranged in protective formation around it. "Scan those vessels," Mordain ordered his tactical officer. "They're human ships, sir," came the reply. "Heavy armament, military configuration. They appear to have been here for several days." Mordain's elegant features twisted with disgust. The Althari were one of the oldest and most respected species in the Council. They had perfected the art of civilized rescue operations over thousands of years. The idea that primitive humans had interfered with proper procedures was deeply offensive. "Open communications with the human commander," Mordain commanded. Admiral Tejo's scarred face appeared on the main screen. His expression was calm but watchful, like a predator evaluating. "A potential threat. Captain Mordain of the Galactic Aid Service," the Althari announced with formal dignity. "You have interfered with an authorized rescue operation. Explain your presence here." "Admiral Tejo, Human Exploration Fleet," came the reply. "We responded to a distress call. The rescued parties are under our protection." "Under your protection?" Mordain's voice rose with indignation. "Humans have no authority to conduct rescue operations in this sector. You will withdraw immediately and transfer all rescued personnel to my custody." Tejo's expression didn't change. "I'm afraid that won't be possible. This is not a request. It is a direct order from the Galactic Council. The Council has no authority over human operations." The statement hung in space like a declaration of war. Mordain felt his carefully controlled emotions threatening to break free. No species had ever spoken to a council representative with such casual defiance. Admiral Tae-ho, perhaps you do not understand the gravity of your situation. The Galactic Council maintains peace and order throughout this galaxy. We have done so for 10,000 years. Your species has been members for less than 50 years. You cannot simply ignore our authority. Watch us, Tae-ho replied. On the bridge of the gentle current, Commander Lith watched the exchange with growing fear. She had hoped to avoid this confrontation, but the arrival of the council ship made it inevitable. Dr. Bo-Ram stood beside her, having returned from the planet's surface with copies of the Forerunner archive. The data they had discovered was safely stored on both human and Villani ships, but the knowledge felt like a weight pressing down on all of them. Commander Lythe, Captain Mordane's voice called over the communication system. You will prepare to transfer to my vessel immediately. We must debrief you on this incident and arrange proper medical care for your crew. Lith looked at the humans. Around her, Sergeant Wu Jin stood ready for action, his hand resting casually on his weapon. Dr. Bo-Ram met her eyes with a steady gaze that seemed to say, "The choice is yours. Captain Mordane, my crew and I are grateful for your offer, but we decline. Our situation has been resolved." The silence that followed was deadly. When Mordane spoke again, his voice carried the cold authority of millennia of unquestioned power. Commander, you seem to be under some misapprehension. This is not a matter of choice. Council protocols require that all rescue operations be concluded by authorized personnel. You will comply. And if we refuse? Lith asked, surprising herself with her own boldness. Then you will be placed under protective custody pending a full investigation of this incident. Admiral Tae-ho's voice cut across the channel. Captain Mordane, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. The Villani crew are free beings who can make their own choices about their safety. They've chosen to remain under human protection. Humans have no legal standing to offer protection to Council member species. We're not offering it as humans, Tae-ho replied. We're offering it as sentient beings helping other sentient beings. Basic morality doesn't require legal standing. Mordane's composure finally cracked. Basic morality? You are Deathworlders. Savages from a planet so violent that civilized species cannot even visit it. How dare you lecture me about morality? Because we know the difference between right and wrong, Tae-ho said quietly. And we've learned the truth about your council's definition of morality. The words sent a chill through everyone listening. Mordane's eyes narrowed as he studied the human admiral's face. What truth? The truth about what happened to the Forerunners and the 47 other species you've eliminated over the millennia. The effect on Mordane was immediate and dramatic. His elegant features went pale, and his hands gripped the arms of his command chair. I don't know what you're talking about, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Yes, you do, Dr. Bo-Ram said, stepping into view of the communication pickup. We found their archive, Captain. We know everything. Mordane stared at the human scientist with obvious fear. The Forerunner archives were supposed to be myths, stories told by conspiracy theorists and malcontents. The idea that humans had actually found one was terrifying. Even if such archives existed, Mordane said carefully, they would contain nothing but the desperate lies of a failed civilization. 47 species, Tae-ho repeated. All eliminated for the same crime. Being too successful, too independent, too unwilling to accept council control. The council maintains peace. The council maintains power, Bo-Ram corrected. Peace is just the excuse you use to justify genocide. Captain Mordane realized he was facing a crisis that went far beyond a simple rescue operation. If the humans really had found Forerunner archives, if they really knew the truth about council operations, then everything was about to change. Admiral Tae-ho, he said with forced calm, I believe we need to discuss this situation privately. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting. I don't think so, Tae-ho replied. We've said everything that needs to be said. You don't understand the consequences of what you're doing. The Council has maintained galactic stability for 10,000 years. Without that stability, there would be chaos, war, suffering. There's already suffering, Commander Lith said, speaking for the first time in several minutes. You just hide it better. Mordane turned his attention to the Villani commander. Lith, You are making a terrible mistake. Your species has benefited greatly from council membership, trade agreements, technological exchanges, protection from hostile forces. All of that will be at risk if you align yourself with these humans. Protection from hostile forces, Lith repeated. Like the pirates who attacked us while we waited 3 days for your rescue ship to arrive? That was an unfortunate delay. The humans arrived in 6 hours, Lith continued. They fought and died to protect people they had never met. They asked for nothing in return except the chance to help. They are using you, Mordain insisted. Humans are manipulative and violent. They will turn you against your own civilization for their own benefit. No, Lith said firmly. You did that. The moment I learned what the Council really is, what it's really done, I stopped being part of your civilization. Admiral Tejo made a decision that would echo across the galaxy. He opened a general broadcast on all emergency frequencies, ensuring that every ship and monitoring station within 50 light-years would receive his message. Attention all vessels and listening posts. This is Admiral Tejo of the Human Exploration Fleet. I am making the following announcement for the record. Captain Mordain realized what was happening and tried to jam the transmission, but human communication technology was more advanced than he had expected. As of this moment, humanity formally rejects the authority of the Galactic Council. We will no longer recognize Council jurisdiction over human space or human operations. Any species that requests human protection will receive it, regardless of Council approval. The word spread across subspace communications networks like wildfire. On dozens of worlds, in hundreds of ships, beings who had never heard of humans suddenly knew their names. Furthermore, Tejo continued, we call upon all free species to learn the truth about their council. Ask yourselves why no species has ever successfully left council membership. Ask why every truly independent civilization has mysteriously vanished. Ask why the council fears strength and independence more than chaos and war. Mordain's ship powered up its weapons, but found itself facing the combined firepower of the human fleet. The tactical situation was hopeless. You have doomed your species, Mordain said when the broadcast ended. The Council will not allow this rebellion to succeed. The Council will try to stop us, Tejo agreed. Just like they tried to stop the Forerunners. But we're not the Forerunners. What are you then? We're humans, and we're very good at fighting for our survival. Captain Sujin's voice joined the conversation from the Iron Wolf. Captain Mordain, you have 30 seconds to withdraw from this system. After that, we'll consider your presence a hostile act. You wouldn't dare attack a council vessel. Try us. Mordain looked around his bridge at his crew. They were all staring at him with obvious fear. The humans had just declared war on the most powerful organization in the galaxy, and they seemed eager to start fighting.